right, welcome in another exciting episode of Dropkick Basement, your favorite pro wrestling history podcast. My name is Mike Madden on my end of things. I am joined, as always, by my tag team partner, Tom Schultz. Tom, how are things? We're getting into the heart of the month of May. We're getting close to Memorial Day weekend, I guess. That's our next flagpole, so to speak.
Rocking and rolling. We got the summer coming up shortly. Almost at Double or Nothing season, which is in the local area for the first time.
Oh, that's true. Yes.
Which maybe last minute make a quick stop over to Queens. We'll see.
Right.
But yeah, we're rolling, getting ready for the summer, and I'm ready to see what you have cooking for today's episode.
So yeah, I thought about this, as we mentioned in our last episode. Not only do we love like fantasy booking, but we just came out of Mania season. Subsequently, that Hogan documentary hit Netflix.
Oh yes.
First of all, like, thoughts. Was there anything in that documentary that you thought, like, well, I never really learned that much about that before, so thank you for doing this? Or was it, like, you know, more or less like you kind of knew what was coming and it was to be expected?
Other than, like, his early life and, you know, like the I would say other than like the first half hour of the first episode, everything's been covered to death.
Sure. Yeah.
Almost, and probably in better ways in certain documentaries. Various other. I mean, there's a million things on the NWO. There's a million things on the rise of Hulkamania. I thought that. The WWF feud or whatever the hell they call that, like A&E show.
Oh, the rivalry. Yeah.
The rivalries episode that they did with Hogan and Andre did like a way better job of covering like that early his early ventures in the WWF than this documentary did personally.
Okay.
Overall, it's a fun nostalgia piece. I mean, growing up, I was a big Hulk guy.
Okay.
So it was, you know, it was something cool to watch. Like we had said off air, like it's a bit of a puff piece because they really kind of dance around his wrongdoings or the things that people look at him in a negative light for.
Yeah.
Other than I did think that they they really hammered home, and this is probably a Hunter call. They really hammered home how he got booed on that last Monday Night Raw.
Yeah.
But then his like delusional optimism of being like, well, I could just go.
I could just heal now. You'd be healed. Yeah.
I could work anyone in Los Angeles.
Yeah.
And it's like, all right, well, that's as Hulk as Hulk gets.
Yeah, you took a pinfall to Father Time a few months later.
Yeah.
So,
but overall, I mean, it was an enjoyable watch.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
More so for like the nostalgia factor. There wasn't
course.
very informative.
Yeah.
Or anything like that. Like it's a good. I'll put it this way. It's a good documentary for non-wrestling fans.
They seem to nail that's Netflix's calling card seems to be like, you know, puff piece, you know, just focus on as much of the positive as possible. Yeah, you're going to have a few talking heads that are going to mention, you know, they kind of ran afoul of him, and of course, like Brett is the perfect guy because he doesn't have a problem like, you know, trashing the subject.
Of course,
Ventura doesn't really shy away from his true feelings, but yeah, I mean, if you really wanted to get into the weeds, there's a lot of the, you know, more of the backstage politics that he kind of pulled, like that doesn't work for me, brothers. And, I need to, make sure that I look strong or so on and so forth. They made WCW look like a hillbilly carnival when they were talking about crazy, how it was like the distant second. And then they have the footage of like Big Josh leading bears down and like Oz and like,
which is like 4, 5, 6 years before like
he wasn't even
going into it.
Yeah, they weren't imagining him in 1991.
That is when he is at like the pinnacle of WWF.
Yeah,
he's
right. Yeah, he's immortal champion. At that point. Yeah,
like no one's even thinking about him going to WCW. So they really do. They take their liberties in painting things in a certain picture. But again, like this is Netflix. It's for a broad audience.
Exactly.
And it's for people who know the name Hulk Hogan from pop culture, the lexicon, and aren't like professional wrestling fans or professional wrestling historians who are going to go and fact check everything. So it's like, to us, Bret Hart calling him a piece of shit and a talentless asshole is hilarious. To the casual fan, they're going to be like, "Who is this fucking bitter old man?"
Why would this bitter old man do this? Right? Like, there's got to be a reason. And then, but it's all, and it's always like in that veneer of WWE won the Monday Night Wars, so they get to tell the story the way that they like to tell the story, and it isn't necessarily the truth. But it did inspire me to go back in my notes and to kind of polish up a concept that I had, which is the beginning of the national expansion of the World Wrestling Federation under Hulk Hogan as champion in the early part of 1984, and how it could have been lined up if they had the ideas that they had maybe 3 years later.
Okay.
So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be staging major shows just like they did in the late 80s and the early 90s. We're going to be staging 4 shows throughout the year that are going to start off as closed circuit wrestling events.
Okay.
And then eventually they would lead to major pay-per-views that are going to be seen by a nationwide and then a worldwide audience. But the idea and the concept of closed circuit television for pro wrestling was something that was used on Madison Square Garden cards through the 80s when they finally figured out the technology of, we have the felt forum downstairs. So if we want to sell more tickets to a garden show, we're going to put people in the felt forum and we're going to drop the screen and we're going to show live footage of the card that's happening upstairs. And they would get a few thousand people in there. Whether it was, and a lot of this was during the Backlund time frame. I don't think that they had it for Billy Graham or for Bruno, but they certainly had they were using that sort of like that in-house closed circuit feed during the Backlund run and then during the Hogan run, obviously. But other territories were experimenting it with closed circuit television. Jim Crockett Promotions was running closed circuit in their area for Starrcade 83 and then 84. Then they were expanding it further in 85. And this is something that I learned very recently. I was watching an old episode of Mid-Atlantic Wrestling. By 1985, after WrestleMania and after the first 2 Starrcades, they knew that there was an audience and they could get people off-site to visit these closed circuit locations. So there was something called Silver Star 85 that Mid-Atlantic ran. Crockett Promotions ran out of Greensboro. I believe it was out of Greensboro in March of 85. Ironically, it was like 2 weeks before WrestleMania. They had put that out there in the local market. And I never really knew anything about it. And then I read up on it, and it's glorified house show with almost like a TV taping element to it. But they did, they sort of shopped that out. So that's what I'm really going for, is that I think the technology for closed circuit should be something that they were taking advantage of, even if it was just locally.
Okay.
And really fish and see what we were made of. And then eventually it gets to the level that we have when we get to the first WrestleMania. So just to start off with, we're going to start in 1984. This is March of 1984.
Okay, so this is 1 year, like to the day almost. 1 year to the day prior to the first WrestleMania.
Prior to the first WrestleMania, exactly.
Okay, and we're building to these. So they're closed circuit shows. Are they going to be like pay-per-view-esque in terms of like when we're talking like 4 shows? Are we talking like Mania, SummerSlam, Survivor Series, Rumble, or are we like more along the lines of like Saturday Night Main Events?
Eventually we get to that, but I'll tell you how we evolve and how we use Vince's 1984 brain to eventually get to the marketing brain that tighten these things up.
Okay.
So 1984, the Colossal Tussle happens. It's a matinee show at Madison Square Garden, March 25th.
Okay.
And we're going to use this matinee show. We're going to do it out of Madison Square Garden with that felt form simulcast. We're going to show this show not necessarily live as it's happening because we don't have the technology to care how fast the results get out. So we're going to offer this up to various locations, theaters, and I think that the smart thing to do would be test it through movie theaters. So if you test the idea of a simulcast or a closed circuit broadcast recorded and then put it, host it in major cities in movie theaters for that one night only, the night of Sunday the 25th, this is sort of our test pattern of how big this Hulk Hogan phenomenon is going to be.
So we're talking show happens in the afternoon. It's then broadcast at theaters same day.
Yes. And we use the MSG network to be our vessel. Right.
Okay.
Right. Maybe in the local market you can test out a few places that will maybe show it live, but I think your smarter idea would be, hey, the show that happened at the Garden tonight, you can go to the Grauman's Chinese Theater in Los Angeles and you can watch that tonight on a big screen movie theater.
Okay.
So that's really what we're aiming for. Is the other cities are going to get a little bit of a tape delayed version of it, but they're going to get it same day.
Okay.
So the first match that we've got going on, we've got the Tonga Kid taking on Cowboy Bob Orton.
Okay.
And the Tonga Kid was kind of fresh into the territory. Jimmy Snuka's cousin. He had been one of the Wild Samoans, and this is right around the time that we're going to get ready for the Roddy Piper, Jimmy Snuka feud coming up soon. But Bob Orton is part of like Piper's stable or inner circle at this time. So this is a way of like, we're establishing Bob. We've got Jimmy Snuka's cousin that's part of this. Good opening match. Obviously two incredible like mid-card workers. Bob Orton, one of the most underrated wrestlers of all time. Tonga Kid or Tama or the Samoan Savage, one of my personal favorites. Just a great like Samoan dynasty guy. And we're gonna get the Tonga Kid over, and we're gonna give him the Duke over Cowboy Bob to start off our show. Give him a good baby face as an opening match and get things started the right way. Match number 2, we've got a former World Heavyweight Champion, Bob Backlund, still in the company at this time, taking on Greg the Hammer Valentine, who was freshly rejoined WWF right around this month under the tutelage of Captain Albano. And he's going to have his sights set on the IC title. Backlund is sort of like on his way out or winding himself down. I mean, everybody knows that Backlund was the victim of the Hulkamania boom coming in, and he got shoved down the card pretty fast. And this is kind of going to be a little bit of that hand going on his back as he gets lowered into the lower mid card. So Greg Valentine gets the win. He's going to be a key Hogan opponent at house shows, so we want to get him strong. He's going to be ready for that IC title program coming up in a few months, so we definitely want to make sure that we've got him positioned the right way.
And this is him fresh off of the Starcade.
Yes.
The dog collar match, right?
Right. Yeah. It's 4 months, 5 months after that happened. So yeah, I mean, he had a little bit of a run at the end of his Mid-Atlantic. I think he turned babyface after Piper left. And he was like he had won the U.S. championship back from Piper at some point, or won it in a tournament after Piper left. So he was still like kind of a top guy there, but I think he was a babyface on his way out, so he could do a couple jobs and get the heels of the territory ready. But in the long run, Valentine's going to be a big time heel for us, so we got to get him ready for that run with Hogan and Tito. Third match on the card, we've got Sergeant Slaughter. A newly turned babyface Sergeant Slaughter, Pledge of Allegiance, America's hero, really getting over strong, and he's going to have a match with Tiger Chung Lee. Quick, easy squash match. Kids love him, crowd loves him. USA all the way. It's sort of a foreign heel, but not necessarily the foreign heels that he's going to get wrapped up with in a few months. But yeah, Sergeant Slaughter gets a big victory, kind of a house showy style, like, maybe a quick, like he ducks an attack from behind, and he does a Cobra Clutch real fast, and we're out of there with Slaughter getting a quick victory and doing the Pledge of Allegiance with the crowd.
I'm not too familiar with Tiger.
Tiger Chun Lee was he was originally managed by Fred Blassie. I believe he's actually Korean born, but he was billed from Japan. He was a teammate of Fuji around this time. Not at the level that Mr. Saito or Professor Toru Tanaka were, where he's competing for a tag belt, but he's like a kind of a mid-card, lower mid-card heel with like a Fuji allegiance. And I'm just looking at the rest of the card. I didn't have Fuji here, so maybe Fuji's his manager at this point. That could also kind of spice things up. Match number 4, World Tag Team Championships on the line here. The current champions, Mr. USA Tony Atlas and Rocky Johnson, taking on Rowdy Roddy Piper and Dr. D David Schultz.
Huh.
Now, this had been a feud that they had run at house shows, and even I think they had a match at the Garden right around this time. Piper wasn't on fire when he first came in. Piper was brought along as like he was establishing himself with Piper's Pit, and he was getting these little pocket feuds built up with all of these guys. Rocky Johnson was like one of the early guys, and obviously Tony Atlas being his tag team partner. He was one of the early guys that like Piper got under his skin, and they would do these tag title matches. We don't want to switch the titles over to Piper and David Schultz necessarily, but we certainly want to establish them as big time heels, as prime time players for the future. So we're gonna this is gonna be a double DQ, lots of brawling, lots of not a lot of like true wrestling, but more or less like. You get chairs involved, you're throwing referees around. One of these big physical Madison Square Garden brawls that establishes the bad guys, and they get the heat on Johnson and Atlas even after the DQ. But we don't do a title switch here, and we just make Piper and Schultz more hated with the crowd by leaving the champs lying. We'll move on to match number 5. Another heel that had just come into the territory that was looking to establish himself as a Hogan opponent, Paul Mr. Wonderful Orndorff. Again, another guy that was under the tutelage and under the tree of Roddy Piper when he first came in. But Paul Orndorff taking on Special Delivery Jones.
Okay.
And SD Jones is a jobber to the stars. He's always going to have these these easy, fun matches. New York crowd really loved Dusty Jones, so he's got a little bit of like swagger, and he puts up a little bit of a fight. Orndorff, though, pile driver, arrogant cover, 1, 2, 3. He gets the win in this effort, and then we head to our intermission. I love to tell you about intermissions.
I mean, every good wrestling show should have an intermission.
I agree. Yeah. You need to take a rest, especially if it's going to be a longest show. We come out of that intermission.
You also need to sell merch.
And you need to sell
merch.
This is the time
That's
where
the most important part of it.
They only had Hogan shirts available for sale, but we got some foam fingers too.
So then at this intermission, they would be selling tickets to the next show at the Garden.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
At intermission,
and you've got some interviews that are going out for the live audience from backstage. You're getting it for the television and the closed circuit people as well. So everybody that's on the second half of your card, you certainly are going to hear from them. We come out of the intermission. Intercontinental title match. The new Intercontinental champion who had won the belt in February is Tito Santana. And he's going to take on the former world heavyweight champion, the Iron Sheik.
Ooh.
So we're not dropping Sheik way out of the title picture. We're just pivoting him over to Tito. And you could build this on TV a little bit of like, hey, I lost, it was a fluke that I lost to Hogan, but I can take your title next and I can beat you. So you have a few back and forths. Tito can't do the Persian clubs. He tries to do the Persian clubs. She attacks him from behind, camel clutch. Set this all up and get yourself ready for the IC title match. But Tito is definitely retaining the IC title. She can still go at this time too. So you don't have like in 2 years, the Sheik is like overweight on a ton of drugs and just doesn't have the motor that he had. Like you still have a pretty game Iron Sheik in March of '85. So I like the idea. Sheik puts up a good enough fight, but Tito definitely, he's a strong babyface, and we want to have him get the Duke here and retain the title. Match number 8 is a 6-man tag team match. We've got the babyface team of Andre the Giant, Jimmy Superfly Snuka, and Polish Power Ivan Putski taking on all 3 of the Wild Samoans, Afa, Sika, and Samula, who was Samu. A Garden special. The whole
interesting team.
A Coliseum home video favorite. Like the crowd will be nuts for Jimmy. They're nuts for Andre. They were always nuts. The New York crowd was always nuts for Putski for some reason. But this is your 3 baby faces knocking around the Samoans. The Samoans are sort of like, they're out of the tag team title picture. They're getting ready to potentially be baby faces, so maybe have Lou Albano like try to interfere on their behalf, and things backfire on them again. And you have some, dissension amongst their ranks, but you're certainly getting your 3 baby faces over with Jimmy Snuka coming off of Andre's shoulders with the Superfly splash to win the whole thing and to get that team over. Match number 9, semi-main event. Kind of a cool down after your babyface crowd loves him fan favorite 6-man tag match. I've got the fairly new team of Dick Murdoch and Adrian Adonis, the North-South connection, taking on B. Brian Blair and Tony Gurria. An undercard babyface team who got some wins on TV. Blair was kind of they were trying to get him over as like this old amateur star. And Gurria is like the perennial, like he's going to pick a tag team partner and they're going to have, a program with whoever the heels are. And we're getting Murdoch and Adonis established and eventually ready to go after your tag champs. So Dick Murdoch and Adrian Adonis get the win in that one. Heading to your main event.
Sense.
Your main event, match number 10, your incumbent world heavyweight champion Hulk Hogan taking on Big John Studd. Now, again, this is a Stud's a perennial for a few years, a leading Hogan opponent, an Andre opponent, so he's no slouch. But this is a huge way to get Hogan over with a body slam on John Studd, the man who can't be slammed. Hogan gets a body slam win over John Studd, gets to pin him, and hopefully the crowd goes crazy for Hogan. And we've announced, who are, the next month when Hogan is in town, we've announced whether it's Orndorff or the Sheik or Valentine, we're going to get Hogan. It's that big win for this test for our concept of closed circuit television throughout the country is have a good main event between Hogan and John Studd.
It makes a ton of sense as his first real title defense, especially in the public's eyes.
Yeah.
Because, this is the first one that they're seeing. And I mean, this is the establishment of everything that comes after, which is Hogan versus the Giants.
Yes.
Yes. The land of the Giants and Hogan slaying the Giants. And this is the perfect establishment of
will he be able to slam John Studd? Will he be able to? Right.
Can he do it? And
can he pin him?
He gets it done. It's at MSG, which makes
Colossal Tussle.
The Colossal Tussle makes it an even bigger deal. So when he slams him straight through the floor to Penn Station, it's the crowd goes wild.
Yeah, yeah. And again, even if you're, if you're getting Hogan over and you have this as your match, maybe you had a lead in off of television where John Studd got the better of him, however it may be, you're basically setting yourself up to what can't Hogan do? And let's see what his next opponent might be. Is it a bigger guy? Is it a smaller guy? Whatever it is. So so that starts us off. That gets us we're establishing here in March.
Okay, so that's the Colossal Tussle.
Colossal Tussle. Okay.
March 1984.
Our next big tentpole event is going to be Sunday, August 26th, from the Met Center in Minneapolis, Minnesota. This is the Brawl to End It All. Okay.
Okay.
They had that in July as their MTV special.
Oh, okay.
And they called that the Brawl to End It All.
I thought that sounded familiar.
And right around this time, the reason why it's all right, well, we could have every show, every show could be staged out of Madison Square Garden, and you could really kind of cater to that Northeast audience and make sure they're ravaged for it. But you want to do national expansion. You want to show that you can draw a big house and do this new concept of coast to coast closed circuit television for what is the AWA's hotbed. Minneapolis, Minnesota.
That's true. You're going in, and this is a particularly hot time for the AWA.
Yeah. Well, it's them trying to rebuild after losing Hogan.
Well, yeah, but I mean, they're still
top.
A definitive top 5.
Oh, they would have in August of '84. They would have just brought in the Road Warriors. And the Road Warriors were a big deal for them. They would have had, they still would have had access to your Bockwinkel's. Kurt Hennig was back in there, kind of establishing himself. So you still have talent that's part of the AWA. But this is basically Vince saying, I'm pushing myself into Minnesota. Fuck Vern. Watch what I'm going to do here. So this is a slightly bigger card, but there's good reason for it.
Okay.
So we've got the Brawl to End It All, opening matches for the World Tag Team Championships. Now, at some point between March and August, Tony Atlas and Rocky Johnson couldn't stand each other anymore. They dropped the tag team titles, and this happened in real time. They dropped the tag team titles to Dick Murdoch and Adrian Adonis.
Oh, this like actually happened?
This had actually happened on TV. Yeah.
Okay.
I think it was on TV or in Philadelphia. But so Adonis and Murdoch are your World Tag Team Champions going up against Afa and Sika, the Wild Samoans.
Albano turned baby faces.
Right. Albano had turned on them, and we saw a little bit of the rumblings of that at our last show at the Garden. So now you've got a fully babyface turned Samoans working with Adonis and Murdoch. Everybody can be physical. Everybody can throw potatoes at each other, take bump flips, go all over the place. Murdoch and Adonis would fly around for the Samoans like crazy. But Murdoch and Adonis are our brand new tag team champions. We're gonna get them established. We get them the Duke at the beginning of the card. They go over in the first match of the card. Okay, and remember, Adonis had been a tag team champion for the AWA. So you're going to see a lot of the established guys that had little, flashes of superstardom in the AWA get their just chances throughout this card, because you really want to impress this Minnesota crowd, because now you want to take all the business away from Vern, because you're taking their talent, and people are familiar with their talent because they were there not even a year ago.
That makes sense. Now, who was Adrian Adonis tag team champions with there?
Jesse Ventura.
Okay.
Remember that name. Match number 2, Ken Patera taking on Special Delivery Jones.
Oh, gotta have me some SD Jones.
Just like we had with Paul Orndorff, Special Delivery Jones is going to get over with the crowd, but eventually this is Ken Patera's chance to swinging neck breaker. He's fresh out of the AWA. He's going to have Bobby Heenan in his corner. So both guys are like right off of Vern's television, right into this card, nationwide audience. Crowd's going to love him. Well, the crowd's going to hate him, more or less. But they're going to recognize him. And this is also...
They're going to love to hate them.
Yeah. This is also right after he threw the boulder in the McDonald's window with Masa Saito.
Oh my god!
So
oh my god!
The jury's still out on potential Ken Patera jail time. But
is he going to roll a boulder out to the ring?
So he might have more heat because he was in the newspapers over that.
Bobby Heenan's going to be dressed as the Hamburger.
Yeah. He's just going to be in attorney mode. But yeah, I have Ken Patera going over with the swinging neck breaker to get the Duke on that. Match number 3 is our hot blood feud on this is a main event in every other arena. This is our secondary main event on our B shows. Roddy Piper versus Jimmy Snuka. This is a few months after I think the Coconut was in May. Snuka took a little bit of time off to sell it. So this is Snuka coming back to the territory and back to television, and then he's right into this feud with Piper on the house shows. Crazy brawl all over the place. Double disqualification. Piper's a scumbag. Pile driver on the outside. Maybe outside interference from either Orton or David Schultz. But whatever it is, ton of heat on Piper. People are throwing cups of piss at Piper. Or snow cones, whatever they throw in Minnesota. But Snuka still, makes the comeback, gets the heat back on Piper, sends him running to the locker room. We will see that as a main event in the Met Center at another time next month or down the road for sure. Crowd loves that match. Great matchup and a great way to sort of like whet their appetites and set the table for it.
Now, I love it. Can I ask you a side note question?
Yes.
That's kind of unrelated, but also related. How much time would you need to take off from work if you got hit in the head with a coconut?
Oh, I have to retire early. But I don't have that Polynesian hardhead.
I've always wondered. Guys get hit with steel chairs.
Yeah.
But the coconut's what did it. The coconut's what really put him under the dirt.
It's not a worked coconut either. That's the other problem. That's a full boy shoot coconut.
He got hit with a fruit.
Yeah, yeah.
and then almost killed him.
You take a coconut off the head.
Oh, I mean, I've never taken a coconut to the head, but it's always been like, damn, I didn't realize that coconuts were so strong.
So thick to get into, yeah. Yeah, well, you got to cut them with a hatchet.
I
right?
Guess so.
Machete, that's a machete.
I don't know. I've never held an actual coconut in my hand.
I feel like if you find a full coconut at a grocery store, I feel like there would be a temptation for you to find somebody and crack them in the head with it and see if you could explode it like Piper.
All right. So when I go grocery shopping on Saturday, I'm going to hit my local ShopRite clerk with a coconut and see how much time he takes off from work.
And smush a banana. Yeah, tell him like this is for an experiment, Dropkick Basement. Live science for you. All right, so we go to match 4. I mentioned him briefly before. Former AWA tag team champion Jesse Ventura back in front of that hometown crowd as a heel. Jesse Ventura versus Ivan Putski. Again, another solid mid-card match that they had and they were doing around the loop to get Jesse over. And Jesse's going to get the Duke over Ivan Putski. Again, a ton of heat. You want to make your heels look unbeatable here, especially the guys that you're going to use coming back to Minnesota in the next 6 months. So your Pipers, Adonis and Murdoch, Patera, Jesse Ventura, everybody looks great because what you're doing is you're setting them up to be, that's Hogan's Rogues Gallery. Because you know Hogan's going to sell out the Met Center because the Minneapolis crowd loves Hogan and you want him to have strong opponents. So you're definitely getting all of these guys ready. And Ventura gets the win. He's new to the territory. He's back. He had been there in 82, 81 and 82. So it's good to have Jesse back. And you won't be able to use Jesse much longer because he starts to get those blood clots. But yeah, certainly here with Putski is a good way to get him over. Match number 5. Brand new guy here, Junkyard Dog.
Ooh.
Taking on the Magnificent Morocco.
Okay.
And Adon had been kind of in and out. He's kind of out of the scene with, maybe still having some matches with Tito Santana in the Intercontinental title feuds, but he's kind of getting phased out of there. He's just getting ready to go on one of his Hawaiian vacations and not be available, but he was still a part of the roster in the summer of 84. So him versus Junkyard Dog that's a good matchup. Size against size. You're not getting a technical masterpiece out of this.
No.
Junkyard Dog is going to be over like crazy for a crowd like this. He never worked in the AWA, so this is kind of a new way to establish a good baby face for the upper mid card. So Junkyard Dog gets a win over Morocco in that particular affair.
I think that's a good call.
Yeah. Match number 6, we've got a boot camp match. This would have been a feud that would have been bubbling for the last 5 months. Sergeant Slaughter taking on the Iron Sheik. They had the classic match right around this time frame in 84. Classic boot camp match at Madison Square Garden. That was really like, if you want to see like Slaughter had the 2 good boot camp matches. The one with the Sheik and then the one a few years earlier in 83 with Pat Patterson. Boot camp match at the Garden. But this one is all the bells and whistles that you had at the one at the Garden is just transferred over to this boot camp match. Sheik's going to bleed buckets. Slaughter's going to bleed buckets. Everybody's taking their shoes off. Everybody's taking military helmets off. We're choking each other with flags. Blassie's cane. The whole 9 yards. This thing is going to be wild, crazy. But at the end of the day, Sergeant Slaughter gets the win in the boot camp match, leading us into, of course, my favorite part of the show, intermission.
Intermission.
Okay.
Just as a refresher, what is a boot camp match?
It's basically it's a no holds barred. Come dressed as you are. It's like a bunkhouse. It's a bunkhouse match, but with military implications.
Got it.
So Slaughter's allowed to wear steel-toed boots. He's allowed to keep his helmet on the whole time. So it's really just like a brawl all around the building, street fight.
Okay.
In modern vernacular. During our intermission, we're actually going to talk to Andre the Giant. He's going to be kind of out at ringside, waving to the fans. I don't have a match tonight, but I can't wait to see you. And they let Andre the Giant know that the next time that they're in the area, he's going to be taking on the Spoiler, or some, heel. And Andre's like, I'll be ready, Minnesota. Can't wait to see you. So just showing Andre during intermission. We're coming out of intermission with a big 6-man tag team match. And that will pit Michael P.S. Hayes, Terry Bam Bam Gordy, Buddy Jack Roberts, the Fabulous Freebirds, versus Paul Orndorff, Bob Orton, and Dr. D. David Schultz.
Whoa.
This is during that brief window that the Freebirds were in the WWF. And they're going to be accompanied in this match by Cyndi Lauper and Cindy's manager, David Wolf, who wanted to be a manager in WWF. And the Freebirds are all baby faces. The crowd loves the Bad Street USA song. They're red hot. They're over. They're doing their, intertwined tag team match stuff. And you've got the other side, you have, 3 of your upper level heels with Orton, Orndorff, David Schultz, all part of the Roddy Piper clique. So you've got like this. Tonight is very much, I can envision it being like certain matches are going to be simulcasted on MTV as well as your closed circuit.
Okay.
So you certainly do have like, this is one of your rock and roll matches. So this is going to be shown to your MTV audience. And the Freebirds go over. They get the pin on Cowboy Bob. Because you can do that with Cowboy Bob, right? He can take pinfalls. He's not at the level that Schultz or Orndorff is in, but you got to get the Freebirds are here for a reason. They got a limousine coming out of the back with Cyndi Lauper and fucking David Schultz and David Wolf, like parading out of it and walking them down to the ring, and MTV cameras, and maybe have somebody from like the MTV VJ crew doing the ring introductions for this. So it's very much hoopla and excitement. So that's what you get the Freebirds over in that sense.
I like that. Now I have a quick question for you. Mm-hmm. Why do you think it is that the Freebirds didn't work in WWF?
They ran afoul of Andre the Giant, who did not like Terry Gordy very much. And Terry Gordy was like, well, I'm not staying here. Fuck this guy. And basically like, they had tension, and it was easy enough. And the Freebirds, I think they missed a few dates, even after being there like a month. They were starting to no-show shit because like, if you're in world class, and you're over as faces in world class, yeah, you're going to have to work the Sportatorium, and that like Dallas circuit every week, and maybe Oklahoma like once a month, but you're in like the same state.
Yeah.
And when they're part of Watts and they're part of Georgia, they're all within the same state. Then you've got them on airplanes going to a whole different itinerary of states, and then, part of the expansion. And those guys couldn't handle the travel off the bat. So they're missing dates. They're partying too much. They're mouthing off. Okay. Gordy's saying, I can take bookings in Japan, or I can go back to world class and be just as big as a star. And he was the first one to go by. And then they were like, well, we like Gordy. Buddy Roberts is a tag along on this. We don't want a Michael Hayes and Buddy Roberts team. So
makes sense.
Let's just part ways. And Nobody's got to worry about signing long-term contracts. So yeah, it was a quick shot. And I think the general idea that was pitched was for the Freebirds to get all the way to WrestleMania and be in like a tag team title feud with somebody under that whole Rockin' Wrestling. They were, because Michael Hayes had that album out at the time and the single out. This was, Michael Hayes is like, they're on MTV. I need to be part of that company because I want to be on MTV. And it was pitched that you're going to be part of this Cindy entourage, and by God, we're going to get your music on MTV. And now we're going to have a rock singer in the WWF. Everybody saw dollar signs. And then they were like, these guys are fucking lazy. And by October, there's no sign of the Freebirds. So,
okay.
Brief. There is a good match. There's two good matches that you can find on YouTube. One from the Spectrum in Philadelphia, and the other one, I believe there was like a TV taping. I don't think they did the Garden. But it was like a TV taping of them like first like coming into the territory. And literally like Cyndi Lauper is like in the limousine with them. And it's like, why the fuck would Cyndi Lauper be with them? And then it's like, oh, they wanted to put Michael Hayes on MTV, and Michael Hayes wanted to be on MTV.
Yeah.
So
that makes sense.
So that's how you get to the Freebirds. But yes, you do need to get the Freebirds over right away in what would be their debut match. Match number 9 is for the Intercontinental title. We've got the current Intercontinental champion is Tito Santana taking on the number 1 contender, Greg the Hammer Valentine. And this is where we're doing the title switch.
I see.
And we're getting Greg the Intercontinental title. Should be a great match. These two knew how to work with each other. They could have a barn burner. They could certainly get themselves in line to like steal the show, so to speak. And you're utilizing Greg Valentine to the best of his abilities. And he's got Lou Albano at ringside too. So the crowd really wants to boo Lou Albano, and Greg Valentine, handful of tights or feet on the rope, gets the roll-up pin on Tito, wins the Intercontinental Championship, and that feud will continue for the next year. Semi-main event. This is going to sound strange, but go with me on this one. It's a semi-main event. It's a tag team match. On one side of the ring, you have Mr. Fuji and his tag team partner, his protege at the time, George the Animal Steele. Yes, Fuji did manage George Steele in mid-'84. They're taking on the unlikely duo of the World Heavyweight Champion Hulk Hogan and Mean Gene Okerlund.
Whoa.
This match did happen at the Met Center right around August of 1984. They shot vignettes for it on TNT. I think they also did it in the Boston Garden too. But they shot vignettes and they showed Mean Gene working out with Hogan, getting prepared. There's a famous scene of Mean Gene, like Hulk Hogan is running up the steps in like a high school football field gym, not a gym, but like the running up the stairs in a stadium, and he's got Mean Gene on his back. Tons of training footage and montages for the TNT show, and for your local syndicated. We'll get this as pure comedy, and it's showing like the lighter side of Hulk Hogan. Two reasons why this makes total sense for the Minneapolis market. A, you get a chance to see Hogan, but you don't have to see him in a match for the world title. So it's totally like a great reason to like come to the arena, watch Hogan do his thing, do the poses, the whole 9 yards. But Mean Gene was also part of the group that left at the same time. Minnesota loves Mean Gene's from Minneapolis. Minnesota loves Mean Gene. You can sell the house out with these two. With Hogan and Gene just standing next to each other, you could probably sell the place out. But now we're adding in the element of they're getting ready to have this match against George the Animal Steele. And Mr. Fuji which again, this was really what happened. So I'm not speaking totally out of tune here.
I can't believe that.
Or out of school. Thing. The finish of the match is Gene never tags in. It's basically like Hogan kind of selling for the two heels, and the heels, George Steele doing the foreign object, eating the turnbuckle, bouncing his head into the exposed turnbuckle, Fuji throwing salt and everything. I think it backfires at one point, and Steele gets like ice, the salt in his face, and then Hogan does a clothesline, body slam, leg drop. He tags in Mean Gene, and then he body slams Mean Gene on top of Fuji and George Steele, and he gets the pin.
Nice.
Crowd loves this shit. This is perfect. And again, it's maybe this isn't on your MTV telecast, but this is something that like you can show highlights for months of this match and the outcome of it. Put it on your Coliseum home videos like they did, and make everybody happy. Main event time. A true main event, which they didn't actually have in the main event slot of this match. This is the brawl to end it all. The women's world champion, the Fabulous Moolah, with Lou Albano in her corner, taking on Wendy Richter with Cyndi Lauper in her corner. Same outcome. Whole MTV, Cindy's there. Cindy's a bigger star than Hogan. Shh, don't tell Hogan. But Cindy's a bigger global star at this point than Hogan. So rubbing elbows, anytime Cindy's going to be able to rub elbows with anybody in this group on MTV, and you're going to get a simulcast on MTV, it's going to do a huge rating. They love this tie-in. They've built this over the previous few months, and this is where Wendy Richter wins the title off of Moolah. The whole girls just want to have fun dancing thing. You leave it in the main event. And you basically set this as it's the specialty because you're acquiescing to Cindy.
Yeah.
And she's the most important person that's part of this. She's the reason why you booked the building. Absolutely lead into this. So there's your August 84 brawl to end it all. Proto SummerSlam almost.
Okay. I like it, and it's different.
Yes.
It has its SummerSlam feel because SummerSlam in its original stages, there was never really that like there was always a gimmick match that headlined everything. It was never really like
tag. It was tag matches to start.
It was like
off with.
Tag matches or like just something that wasn't really like a big blockbuster, but it would draw.
Oh, for sure. Yeah,
and
people were interested.
Of course.
In it.
Yeah.
Well, because it was also like typically when you talk about arena business, the hardest times for house show business was in the summer because everybody's on vacation.
Yep.
That didn't really pick up and change patterns until you had like a SummerSlam, which is, hey, we're going to have this like pay-per-view event or this major event in a Madison Square Garden or a big market. And Minnesota would have been a perfect market for them to do this in. So voila, you just made it happen. So that's going to lead us into the November show. It is going to be called Survivor Series, and it is going to have 4 Survivor Series matches.
Okay.
Multi-man, same 5-on-5 that I'm basically saying like crystal ball it, and this is the type of thing that they should have thought about in 84 instead of waiting to 87. So multi-man elimination matches. This one you can have in I think a southern town would be great for something like this. So maybe you have this in Texas.
I also think it makes sense to, if you're going to do the March 1 in the regular territory of New York.
Yeah. Yeah.
You go out to the Midwest, and now you take the South.
Right.
I think if your goal is to corral the audience around the country, this is like a perfect triangle that you're making right now of the Vince's plan to capture the country.
Right. And you're going to do this from the Summit in Houston, which is a little bit bigger building than the Sam Houston Coliseum, which is what Paul Bosch was using for the Houston territory, subsequently with the NWA, Mid-South, and World Class kind of feeding guys into it as well. So you're going to do the Summit of Houston, Texas, Saturday, November 3rd. We're going to test this out on a Saturday, and we're going to see how this works. And we're going to run this on a Saturday afternoon as well.
Okay.
So, again, 4 matches make up the card. I'm going to go through our guys like real quickly. The first Survivor Series match, you're going to have Tito Santana, Sergeant Slaughter, Rocky Johnson, a recently debuted Barry Windham, and Blackjack Mulligan. Barry Windham and Blackjack were in Mid-Atlantic, quit Mid-Atlantic in November because Vince gave him a big money offer for both of them to come in. Mulligan was promised a program with Roddy Piper, and they were going to give him a talking segment on TV, which they ended up doing, Blackjack's Barbecue. And then Barry Windham was basically Magnum TA for Dusty in Jim Crockett Promotions in Mid-Atlantic. He quits just before fucking Starrcade. A month before Starrcade, he walked out. And he was supposed to wrestle Tully for the United States title or the television title, whatever Tully had at the time. So it really threw a monkey wrench into his programming. And Dusty didn't forgive Barry Windham for that for years. So that's just side story. Their opponents on this particular night, the Intercontinental Champion, Greg the Hammer Valentine. Obviously, he's programmed up against Tito Santana. The Iron Sheik, Nikolai Volkov, who can be going against Slaughter or Windham or Mulligan. And then the Moondogs, who are new to the territory, mid-card heel teams. I like the idea of Sergeant Slaughter and Tito Santana winning this.
Okay.
And, you can't have Valentine win it necessarily, but Valentine's still your IC title. And, and everybody on the other team are good opponents for Valentine through the house shows. Get him against Tito, obviously. Slaughter, Rocky Johnson still has cachet. Barry Windham, who's new, and then Mulligan, who's an old established veteran. But yeah, we're definitely getting Tito and Slaughter as our survivors. Match 2, we're going to do a multi-women's Survivor Series match. I don't have the specific names because it's hard to remember like who was part of it. But just right there, match number 2 is just a multi-women. Wendy Richter gets the win. Everybody loves Wendy. Girls just want to have fun. No Cindy for this one, by the way.
That's all you need.
Match number 3. This is an interesting one. I went like back and forth with this one a few times. Our babyface team is Andre the Giant as our team captain, the Junkyard Dog.
Interesting.
Mr. Wrestling 2, who they had hired when they got the TBS spot from Georgia Championship Wrestling. Mr. Wrestling 2 was like, I can go. So
I
wrestling
come along with the TV deal.
Wrestling 2, yeah, he comes with the TV parts. Wrestling 2 and Jack and Jerry Briscoe.
Whoa.
Who again had famously come as part of from basically there was a box of television parts that they got from TBS. And they were like, whoa, these are kind of heavy. And then it's like Wrestling 2. It's like, oh, okay, all right. Jimmy Carter's favorite wrestler. And then
the studio comes with employees.
Jack and Jerry. They are taking on the team of Big John Studd and Ken Patera with Dick Murdoch and Adrian Adonis.
Okay.
And their 5th man is the Ugandan giant Kamala.
All right. I love that team.
That team's wild.
I love that team.
This was Kamala's like brief spot when he came in 84 and basically like he got into it with Andre. And
he really came in 84?
Oh, he came in 84. He was basically an Andre opponent. And I think he had an altercation with Andre, and he quit by the fall, by like the early fall, like right around this time.
Why can't anyone get along with Andre?
Andre's a tough man to get along with. Andre only wants to do business his way.
Just give him 100 beers and he'll fucking like you.
But Kamala didn't so basically because he's only Andre's opponent. So like he's getting like a couple squash matches on TV, but immediately they're like, send Andre in there to like confront him. And then he looks scared. So he's got to there's no chance for him to get over as the Ugandan giant. It's basically like, well, I'm against like the biggest wrestler in the world. And he was basically like, all right, well, it doesn't work for me, brother. I'm gonna go back to Mid-South. But this is during the brief window that he's part of the company. I'm going to give the win to John Studd and Ken Patera are going to win this match.
Okay.
And they're going to cut Andre the Giant's hair.
You got to get creative with eliminating him.
Well, you get a count out.
Okay, yeah.
Like, he's not a hard guy to have like
pinfall.
So let's say he eliminates. It's basically Andre versus 4 guys. It's Andre versus.
Oh, so it comes down to Andre versus 4 guys
versus Murdoch, Adonis, Patera, and John Studd. I don't want to pin the Junkyard Dog, but maybe we have the Junkyard Dog and Kamala do like a double count out or a double disqualification because you can have them in a program side. But Murdoch and Adonis they're actually going to get eliminated by Andre together. He's going to like squash them, even though they're your tag team champions. He's going to beat them. But as they're leaving, they pull Andre out of the ring and they hold his legs while John Studd and Patera like grandstand. They win by count out. Patera gets the scissors. Patera and Studd disgrace. It was on television in a tag match with Andre and Special Delivery Jones against Patera and Studd. And Vince McMahon's call is pretty legendary where he says, they're raping his dignity as they cut his hair. So
okay,
you can have Vince overemphasizing that. And then Studd and Patera are the big heels going into the winter with Andre and beyond. Main event time. You've got a team led by Hulk Hogan of Chief Jay Strongbow, David Sammartino, the Tonga Kid, and his cousin Jimmy Superfly Snuka, taking on Piper's guys, Roddy Piper, David Schultz, Paul Orndorff, a new to the company Brutus Beefcake, and Jesse the Body Ventura.
Okay.
A little.
So we're digging in the ditches for this one.
Yeah, the babyface side especially was like pretty thin. If we had the power of keeping the Freebirds around, I would have snuck the Freebirds in here maybe because they had the program with Schultz, Orndorff, and Orton. Orton was gone. I think Orton like either got injured or was working in Japan at this time, so I didn't have the presence of Bob. Strongbow's just Strongbow. He's sitting around in the locker room getting fat. So put him into action. A rare occasion where we've got heels getting over 2 matches in a row to end this. And we're actually going to get a pinfall on Hulk Hogan by Roddy Piper.
Ooh.
It's going to be brass knucks. It's going to be,
yeah, it's got to be cheating. It's got to be, yeah.
But this is we're peeling Piper off of Snuka because we had him in Snuka for the last 6 months, and we're warming Roddy Piper up for the run with Hogan and beyond. So Piper is the sole survivor in this one. Mega heat. Again, we end this show on 2 heel wins, but these are 2 big important heel wins, and I think a Southern crowd would understand what we're going for here. Is the baby faces are going to get their comeuppance, or they're going to get their victories back, and these heels are going to get their comeuppance sooner or later. So that'll take us to Thursday.
That's an interesting way to end
a show. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you expect it to be like, well, Hulk Hogan has to get over, right? Or like if he loses, it has to be like a count out or some outside interference. Piper's gonna cheat, but Piper's gonna get the win.
Like it.
We're setting this off the right way. So then we go to January 24th, a Thursday evening. Thursday evening, 1985. I am going to say this without hyperbole. This is your setup to WrestleMania. You are going to get this show on the USA Network in a live primetime spot on a Thursday.
Okay, so that makes sense why it's Thursday then.
It's from the Kiel Auditorium in St. Louis, Missouri.
Okay.
This match is built around the annual Kiel Auditorium Battle Royal. So we're not at Royal Rumble status yet. We're at Battle Royal status, though. Before we get to the Battle Royal, which is going to be in the main event slot, we are going to talk about the undercard in this one, which are a bunch of matches that are setting up potentially for our WrestleMania.
Okay.
Women's tag team match. Nothing on the line other than positioning. The Fabulous Moolah and Leilani Kai versus Wendy Richter and Velvet McIntyre. We're going to start the card with that.
Okay.
And Moolah and Leilani. What's that?
I have no idea who Velvet McIntyre is.
Oh, she's very good. Like she's a good baby face from Ireland. She didn't wear shoes. Okay. Red-haired gal.
Okay.
She actually worked great with like girls like Judy Martin and Desiree Peterson. So she was, again, you're seeing her like you're close enough to the holidays where they have an emphasis on women's wrestlers in the undercard for this stuff. So definitely, this is a setup for our lead to WrestleMania. Moolah and Leilani Kai take the victory. At the end of it, Leilani Kai says, next week on television, I want to wrestle Wendy Richter. And they set up a match for Championship Wrestling the next Saturday. And that's where Leilani Kai will win the women's world title under nefarious rules so that Wendy Richter can get ready for the WrestleMania. Match number 2, the debut match of Hillbilly Jim. He's taking on George the Animal Steele. And Hillbilly Jim was a friendly Southern man who stood in the front row. He got endorsed by Hulk Hogan. He got invited onto Piper's Pit, and Roddy Piper was like, well, why don't you let me coach you or train you for wrestling? And he's like, well, Hulk Hogan's going to do it. He bought me wrestling boots. And they had this whole like program of like Hulk Hogan was going to be Hillbilly Jim's mentor and so on and so forth. And then he did have matches, and fucking Brutus Beefcake broke his leg accidentally in a match, and that basically like torpedoed Hillbilly Jim's like chances of, having an early career success. So he was on the shelf for like 6 months because of that. But we're rewriting history. So Hillbilly Jim is going to be taking on George the Animal Steele. And he's going to get the victory. He's going to get a surprise. He's going to be able to tame the animal, because you don't need to put George Steele over.
No, this is going to be Hillbilly Jim's skyrocket to the top.
We're ready to go. We're ready for Hillbilly Jim to be the guy.
Yeah.
Tag team.
Don't go messing with a country boy.
Tag team titles on the line. The champions, Adrian Adonis and Dick Murdoch, taking on Barry Windham and Mike Rotundo, the U.S. Express.
Let's go.
I hope you can see where I'm going with this.
Barn burner. I'll tell you that.
Barn burner for sure. This is the title switch. This is Windham and Rotundo getting the Duke over Adonis and Murdoch, who are starting to get phased out. I think Dickie left the company like right after they dropped the tag belts. Took a tour in Japan. Adonis did too, but Adonis came back. But yeah, tag team champions, America, big victory for Adonis and Murdoch for sure. And I should say, a big win for Windham and Rotundo. Crowd would love them. Heartland, we're going to play up the Heartland. We're waving flags. We're singing Born in the USA. Next match on the card, we have the Junkyard Dog taking on Mad Dog Vachon.
Ooh.
And Mad Dog Vachon was only in WWF like brief period. Like again, they had guys in for like short stints to see what they could draw, and to like they certainly had him wrestling in Minnesota, I'm sure, or in Milwaukee. But yeah, Junkyard Dog is going to get a quick victory over Mad Dog Vachon in this one.
Don't call Mike Vick. This is a dogfight.
Continue to establish himself. Our next match, a tag team title, not a tag team title match, but a tag team number one contenders match. Jack and Jerry Briscoe still here, still being the legends that they are, taking on the Iron Sheik and Nikolai Volkov.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah,
I love this match.
This is fun. The technical guys versus the foreign heels. Sorry to say, but the foreign heels are going to get the Duke and get themselves lined up for that showdown with Wyndham and Rotundo. Sheik and Volkov get a win.
Yeah.
Our semi-main event, IC title match. Greg the Hammer Valentine taking on Jimmy Superfly Snuka.
Ooh.
If this happened anywhere, it was like some, just one-off match, on a house show loop. Never really played up on television. I'm very surprised with the Lou Albano involvement. Like, he wouldn't want to get Snuka, but Snuka was very married to Piper for a long time. But we've got Greg Valentine continuing on as the established Intercontinental Heavyweight Champion and getting the win. After the match, Tito Santana, who's been on the injured list, gets out there. He's ready to challenge Greg Valentine. I want to be your next opponent. So we see where we're going with that. Actually, this is the semi-main event. The 20-man, $50,000 battle royal.
Oh yeah, you said we had to do the St. Louis Battle Royal.
St. Louis Battle Royal. The participants really fast. Pedro Morales, Mr. Wrestling 2, Ivan Putski, Chief J Strongbow, B. Brian Blair, Jesse Ventura, Playboy Buddy Rose, Brutus Beefcake, The Great Gama,
The fuck is that?
Just some fucking undercard slob. Paul Orndorff, Bret Hart,
Oh,
Sergeant Slaughter, The Spoiler, Offensika, the Wild Samoans, Tony Atlas, Rocky Johnson, Ken Patera, Big John Studd, and a returning Andre the Giant. Fresh from his haircut the last time we saw him.
Oh.
He's been away.
Yeah.
He's been away. It's a goddamn battle royal, too. Your winner is going to be Andre the Giant.
Yeah, I mean, he's got to avenge the hair.
Absolutely.
And he's got to cut every single person's hair as he throws them out.
Mm-hmm. Yes, he gets the Andre the Barber Giant. Main event World Heavyweight title match. Hulk Hogan with Mr. T in his corner versus Rowdy Roddy Piper with Bob Orton in his corner.
Ooh.
And as I said, this is your build to WrestleMania. So not only is Mr. T there, Cyndi Lauper will probably be there. We'll have Orndorff is lurking. So we're putting our stuff together. Double disqualification. This one also gets simulcast, even though it's on the USA Network. I'm sorry, we don't have to simulcast it on MTV.
No.
But we are certainly taking advantage of our ability to fill out this card. Same stuff. We kick Cyndi Lauper in the head. We Mr. T jumps in the ring. We've got Bedlam at ringside. Piper and Hogan still have beef, still have issue. Double disqualification. we're getting ready for March 31st, 1985. Back in Madison Square Garden, 1 year after we did these experiments. So that Keel show is basically called the annual Battle Royal show.
Okay.
Or it's just called like the USA Special. They could call it the War to Settle the Score if they want to. But we're focusing on the Battle Royal being like the main drawing part of that. But also the lead off to the culmination of the Piper and Piper and Hogan heat that leads to WrestleMania. So most of the WrestleMania card that I have is what's established. Okay. Madison Square Garden, Sunday afternoon, March 31st. This one we're going to try and not only do run back our relationship with our closed circuit partners, but we're also going to try to get this on pay-per-view TV because that's in its infancy. Or maybe we put it on HBO.
Oh.
And those subscribers to HBO get it nationwide. There's a lot to do. But there's a different feel and a different look to certain elements of this card. So I'm going to start opening match. The Magnificent Morocco is back in the territory. And we're going to have the Magnificent Morocco versus Tony Atlas to start this off.
Big, lots of muscles.
Lots of muscles, not a lot of mobility. Don Morocco goes over because we're getting Don ready for the Hogan,
as he should.
The Hogan promo, the promo with Hogan, or the program with Hogan after WrestleMania. Match number 2, they have to figure out a way to keep Sergeant Slaughter in this territory. Forget the G.I. Joe bullshit. Forget the the action figure. All the hubbub that went into that. We're going to at least keep Sergeant Slaughter around for a little bit longer. So Sergeant Slaughter is on this card, taking on George the Animal Steel.
Naturally.
Early part of the card. The New York crowd loves Slaughter. And we're going to give Slaughter, maybe this is his send-off, but we're going to give Slaughter like the big send-off that he deserved. Slaughter gets the Duke over Animal Steel. At that point, Mr. Fuji turns on George Steele. We turn George Steele into a babyface. Albano comes out to, rescue George Steele. Slaughter's still there. And we get George the Animal Steel to mumble the Pledge of Allegiance. I mean, how great would the visual of that be? His hand over his heart, mumbling, flag. So, feel good moment with Sergeant Slaughter there. Third match on the card. Brand new to the territory. Two guys that are relatively new here. But brand new to the territory, fresh off Jim Crockett's television, is Ricky Steamboat. This match was rumored to be part of the card for WrestleMania 2. I'm bumping it to WrestleMania 1, and we're going to see where this goes. Ricky Steamboat versus Bret Hart.
Whoa.
Right.
Talk about a show stealer.
And Steamboat had a good match with Matt Bourne on the original WrestleMania as his sort of establishing. Imagine if he's got a super worker. Matt Bourne's a good worker. Underrated. Doink the Clown eventually. But at the time, Matt Bourne's a pretty underrated mid-card heel. But imagine if he had Bret Hart to work with. And you told Bret, make Steamboat look great. Make yourself look great. You got 8 minutes to shine out there. Go for broke. Rick Steamboat gets the win. But Bret Hart is a guy you got to keep your eye on in the future. And that's what commentary is hammering that. All he needs is a good set of matches, maybe a manager, maybe a tag team partner, and you start to speculate what Bret Hart's going to do next. We know what he's going to do next, but we're getting him ready.
Yeah.
The match that they should have had on the card, tag team match, Johnny Valiant and Brutus Beefcake versus Bruno and David Sammartino. I still hate the original David Sammartino versus Beefcake match, but Jesus Christ, you could have had a Bruno and coming out of retirement to protect his son and going against a known opponent like Johnny Valiant and Beefcake. Crowd would eat it alive. Crowd would love it. This would actually draw some of the house. If you hadn't seen Bruno in the ring for 4 years, and now Bruno's finally coming back, I got Bruno and David Sammartino getting the victory in this one, and actually like putting on a decent match.
Especially in Madison Square Garden, you have a Bruno win. That's like at later WrestleManias when you bring the nostalgia act back.
Yeah, exactly.
That's exactly what you need.
Crowd would eat it up. Next match on the card. Again, we still want to get King Kong Bundy over.
Why?
And you did that with special. Why? Because Bundy's a big guy. Bundy's a major, major monster.
King Kong Bundy looks like a toe.
They love their monsters. So we've got
like a big toe.
King Kong Bundy in action versus Ivan Putski. That's a way better opponent than fucking Special Delivery Jones was. Ivan Putski's a guy the crowd's going to actually like root for a little bit and hope that he like gets out of Bundy's way. He's not going to get out of Bundy's way, and he's going to squash Ivan Putski right out of the territory. Arrivederci. Que sera, sera. King Kong Bundy gets the win, much to your dismay.
How could we do this to my fellow Polak?
Intermission time. Coming out of intermission, we've got a 6-man tag team match. On the heel side, we've got Big John Studd, Ken Patera, and Adrian Adonis. All 3 members of the Bobby Heenan family. Their opponents for this evening, Andre the Giant, Jimmy Superfly Snuka, and Tito Santana. And of course, we have the baby faces going over. Snuka, Andre, Tito. Adonis bumps around for everybody. Patera can bump a little bit. Studd takes a body slam. Andre sits on his chest. Everybody goes home happy. Baby faces are victorious. Next match, Intercontinental title match. Our title matches are packed up for the back half of this card. Intercontinental title match is Greg the Hammer Valentine versus the Junkyard Dog. We're going to run it back the same way we did in the original WrestleMania. We're going to do a double count out because we're still not done with Tito and Greg Valentine, and we want the Junkyard Dog to be strong and established. So it's going to be the same
makes sense
double count out victory. Tag team title match. Wyndham and Rotundo as the champions coming in against Sheik and Volkov. Again, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Sheik and Volkov with Blassie's cane, they get the victory. Women's title match. Leilani Kai coming in with the belt with Moolah. Richter with Cyndi Lauper and the Entourage. She wins the belt back. Everybody's happy. Main event is the same main event with a little bit of a tweak because Snuka was used earlier on the card.
Yeah.
So we've got Piper Orndorff with Bob Orton in their corner versus Hulk Hogan and Mr. T with Hillbilly Jim in their corner because he doesn't get his leg broken. And he's Hulk Hogan's friend. And he's eventually going to peel off and work against Bob Orton so he can learn how to be a better wrestler. So we're full speed ahead on this one with the Hogan and Mr. T team getting the victory much in the same way. So there's not a lot of, like, the back half of the card was very samesies, but I love that Bret Hart Ricky Steamboat match so much.
Yes, I mean that's
if you've ever seen the match that they had from, and I think it was on Bret Hart's DVD. It's from Boston Garden from early '86, and it's Steamboat and Bret, and they have a fucking 20-minute masterpiece. I think you can catch it on YouTube these days. That's where I'm going to end it. I thought about adding one more event, but we'll do that at another time. We'll explore 86, 85 and 86 a little bit deeper the next time that we do this. But taking that from 1 year, I just want your thoughts. From the Garden on a closed circuit basis to every step along the way, branching out a little bit more national, a little bit more like of a embracing cable and embracing this closed circuit, and then building to what potentially could be pay-per-view as early as March of '85. What are your thoughts? How do you think that this went?
The idea of doing the big shows a year earlier, well, a big show a year earlier, but I mean the big four didn't come around to what the late '80s, early '90s when it was the fully formed. I like that a lot. What I think is an ingenious move is running the shows across the country to do a subtle hostile takeover. Not only of we're taking your TV, but we're running in your hometown.
Yes.
And we're going to outdraw anything you do. That is, I'm surprised that wasn't done at a more like fever pitch.
Well, for a more focused way. Yeah.
Earlier than it was. Especially if you're broadcasting to a national audience that you're taking over a territory, essentially, that really kind of cements that kind of puts the pitchfork in the heart of wherever you're running.
Of course, yeah.
Minnesota's AWA is gonna be dead. St. Louis is gonna be dead. Texas is gonna be dead.
Yeah.
Because not only are we outdrawing you in your venue, not only are we using the talent that used to be your talent, but we're showing a national audience that we're doing it to you.
Right.
Which is really like the ultimate, like, foot on the throat. But also just building those feuds the way that you did from show to show. Fantastic.
Yeah,
especially the Piper transition from Snuka to Hogan was awesome.
Yeah.
Tito Santana, Greg Valentine. Love it.
It's a lot of the playbook that they use, but it's with it's the intention of being a little bit more ruthless when it comes to, and I hate it because ultimately, like, you didn't want to see the territories die.
It fucked the business until today. I mean, in reality.
Yeah.
But if you're gonna do it to
do it to a
extent.
Yeah, merciless, and also like just a forward leaning, embrace the technology, realize that like, hey, if we really want to expand into these other markets, you have to test if you can do something like closed circuit. And they perfected closed circuit to a point where they abandoned it and did pay-per-view when that technology was more of the norm and more of the way that specialty sports were getting on, right? And concerts were getting on television.
Yeah.
I think your partnerships with USA Network and MTV, they certainly, in reality, they lean into MTV a lot more. I think USA Network was just happy that they had programming. But if you're saying to them, like, well, not only are you going to have programming, we're going to give you one of these big major shows to run like a Thursday evening, special with a pay-per-view, like where there's nothing else that the USA Network's got going on at that time. That certainly gives them incentive to say like, oh, we certainly, we're gonna have a long-term partnership with you. This isn't just like, hey, we have a highlight show 2 days a week like they did with All American and with Primetime. This is a little bit more of the we're catering to the live sports element of this.
Yeah.
And I would imagine 40 years later, the USA Network, in the way that they're established right now, they would love to be able to get like a Monday Night Raw back. They embrace having SmackDown on a Friday as the live wrestling programming. But like in this day and age, like if you were to say to them like, hey, little birdie told me you could have had the live sports in 1984 and established live sports in that way, they would have squirreled that away forever and really like jumped with it. But yeah, I think this without without spoiling the rest of the project that we'll get back to at another time. this is certainly showing that the template was there. You know, when they finally got to the template based off of pay-per-view, it could have been there years ahead of time. Yeah. And we could have been using moniker. We could have come up with our marketing slogans a lot faster about how to pitch these things to a nationwide audience and really to make, you know, mincemeat out of the rest of the competition a lot quicker, for better or worse. But I think that would also challenge somebody like Jim Crockett. That would challenge somebody like Watts or the Von Erichs, who were having good live gate business and were starting to branch themselves out. They would have had to pivot and say, all right, well, we really need to like either collaborate, or one of these territories gets shut down. You have to do something with the rest of the talent and really, you know, kind of market them in a different way. And maybe they would have been a little bit more motivated. But you know, it's fun to go back and like look at those cards and say like, well, you can mishmash different ways to do it, and you can bring feuds together a lot quicker and a lot longer. So, yeah, it's a lot of fun. So glad we could get that out there into the world. I've had that in my notebook for a few months. So
yeah, that was a good exercise.
Yeah,
because it also was very it was like a good learning exercise for me, because I was not as familiar with that period of time.
Yeah.
In the WWF leading up to WrestleMania 1.
There you go. Well, this was the revamp way of doing it. So, on that note, we will we'll close our notebook, and we'll count ourselves down for the 3 count. Mike Madden on my side, my partner Tom Schultz on the other side. Hope you guys have a great night, and we will see you at the matches.